Next up, we have 10 unapologetically sexy games for a post-woke era by Cyael.
Hama where the sun don't shine, pack it up, pack it in, it's pizza time. Krispy Kreme, Jolly Green Bean, trans take offense.
I've never had Krispy Kreme.
Obscene. Sensitive, crime boss rejects the Kirsha, everybody's
What?
Hitler when nobody hears ya. Another pro...
Bro, why you start? We're 16 seconds in, and I'm already sold on your rap, dude. This is awesome.
Noun don't know their gender, brain on puree setting in a blender. Seethe over jokes, beg for cancellation, only real women manage menstruation. VTubia obliterate cancel culture, vice he she bones picked by vultures, gay woke slop development,
There's
arrested
so much...
brace for Chrono Odyssey's prompt beta testing, Silver Palace tides annihilation, Azor Familia Western
We just watched the Silver
Mecha
Palace.
break defying fate vindictus, yummy in my tummy like koala eucalyptus. In desert, Stellar Blade on PC, Flowtopia, Halo,
Right, Stellar Blade is coming to
MCC,
PC.
Bungie
I'm
run
definitely
a
playing that.
marathon without Cortana. You hoping we buy it, but I say nobody wanna. Learn a hard lesson when you deep throat agenda. Only big titty bring out the big.
When did this come out? 21 hours ago. Okay. 1 minute rap. You covered so much in just 1 minute. That was a very good summary of what has happened over the past year or so. Holy shit.
Hello, beta testers.
The fuck you just call me?
Comment and subscribe if you're ready for games to return to being escapes instead of lectures from socially inexperienced activists who have existed for many years but never lived. The escape entertainment
I love how he put it.
You pay for
I love how he
should
put
meet
it.
a certain standard. And for me, the bar is just above vomit. And since that's what woke games seem to need Western slop to be these days, I'll be avoiding it until a time when some heterosexuals are put back in charge. I recognize...
I understand your point really well. You're focusing on the wrong people, my dude. Yes. Because most of HR is straight white women. And a lot of the issues out of these come straight out of 7 levels of HR.
Many people have reservations with gacha games, and rightfully so. But no one is telling you to wail out like some Nintendo fanboy. And as a person who recognizes the potency of gaming as an outlet, and probably fight harder than most people you know on this channel against entities in the industry to catalog, entertain, and
She has a nice ass,
eradicate
and
this
what game
cancer,
is this?
allow me to eloquently articulate that people escape to de-stress, to unwind, to relax. Not every game needs to be a turn your brain off experience, but to briefly put it in terms I think most people can understand, as universally despised as The Big Bang Theory or TikTok may be, with us understanding its brain rot potential, they still dominate. Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon ran for 12 and 7 seasons respectively, and it's because people were given what they wanted. At the moment, millions are made monthly by giving people the cute, sexy, cool, and fun escapes that they deserve.
Escapism is partly... It doesn't even have to be a matter of, I want to escape my reality. Which a lot of people do have that. I don't want to be reminded of what I am experiencing right now. I want to escape somewhere else. I want to escape into this game. But in my case, for example... and I'm speaking for myself here, I like these games. I like to experience these because I am curious about the what-ifs of these stories. I want to just experience this story. I want to see this this world from the perspective of the character, and I want to experience that. And if it's well made, then that's even better. And sometimes the self-inserts as well, you know, when it's an RPG. So, escape the mode, yeah. And a lot of people... I think we'll fall somewhere in that spectrum. It's either going to be, I don't want to be reminded, I want to experience something other than what I am living right now. I want to escape the world I'm in. And or will be wanting to just see the what ifs, experience the stories somebody else tells, because one of the things human beings have loved since the very beginning of time is stories. And well told stories do really well. Human beings like to be entertained. Work mode, school mode, family mode, healing mode, resting mode. Yeah, you need to rest. I live under the I work as hard as I rest. So yeah, resting is important, and part of resting is going to be entertaining yourself with something that doesn't require active efforts in the same way as you would work or school or stuff like that. So there you go.
Instead of the ugly, formulaic, sanitized diversity lectures that they're calling entertainment that are losing these companies billions, and rightfully so.
The problem, and I'm not apologizing for pausing, and the root cause of this is the, I don't remember who called it, clafter. A lot, and this started, I think, with comedy. A lot of comedians, the woke comedians, would get some of their jokes to just be political statements. And you know there's a difference between a joke being funny and somebody agreeing politically with a joke and then laughing. Because if the joke is funny, people laugh. That's an instinctive thing. That's a reaction. That's just a reflex that we have. If you find something funny, you laugh. End of story. But a lot of these, and it has happened, and it slowly crept into other modes of entertainment, I would say. This is how I see it. It then crept over to other places when they would just make a political statement, and instead of laughing, people clap first and then they laugh. Clafter. And with that, you start equating, because, comedy is entertainment. And you start equating these things, and then you start getting this skewed worldview in which political statements, these grandstanding, morally grandstanding, is entertaining. Because the comedian did it. And if the comedian did it, then so can the writer. And I think that's along the lines of where these things went and how this crept into entertainment as much as it did. That's how I see it. I might be wrong. I don't care. Let's continue.
The bar is so low you could put on a show with puppets, a mask, and some VTubers in your bedroom and raise the kind of audience overnight that an old school documentary might refer to as a cult. And if you dared to establish a compound, they'd be at your fucking door like Waco. And boy, does it make the alphabet entities jealous, because that's attention they wish that they had. They might come after you the way they're going after Kirsha right now for telling a joke. What's crazy is they had government backing, infinite funding, everything and everyone on their side, and they still couldn't force their backwards definitions onto people who simply opted for pretty. As VTubers fight a battle that's waged since they dared to play the best-selling video game of 2023, Hogwarts Legacy, we gamers are forced to bow, thanking you for your service, being a lightning rod to split the attention of these degenerate narcissists who desperately wanted to keep
I already forgot about Hogwarts Legacy. By the way, for the record, Hogwarts Legacy, okay game. The world was disappointing. The story was okay. But something I think I just thought of, a lot of the woke people have mixed up crafting something and manufacturing something. Because mastering the craft of doing something, of making music, of writing a story, of something like that, is not the same as manufacturing something. And what do I mean by that? If you are a master of your craft, somebody like Mozart, that he was an absolute master of music, he could do anything. And anything he did would be a hit. Why? Because he was a master of the craft. And the problem is that Mozart saw it from the point of, I am going to make music that expresses, that entertains. And the problem with these manufactured things is that now you have an ideology that you need to cram into whatever product there is, and that is secondary to the craft. And we've seen it. And we've seen it. And even with all the institutional power, you can't get the organic appeal that good craft has when it's craft first. You're not going to get that. in this world. You're not going to get that. People that agree with you politically are going to pretend that they like the craft when it's garbage and it's just message first because they agree with the message. It's not going to hold a candle ever to somebody with just good craft, as we have seen with time and time again in recent history. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. There are probably a fuckload of other games that I'm not remembering right now off the top of my head, but these games that were made for the sake of the craft, for the sake of making something good, for the sake of making a good experience for the craft, for the entertainment, as opposed to a message wearing the skin of a video game.
Mention of these degenerate narcissists who desperately wanted to keep pushing surgery and hormone blockers on kids. Here are the 12 upcoming games Cyael considers based because the women can be pretty, which means fun is also on the table.
Yep.
Comment a game that you used to like that got censored or compromised with DEI garbage that, of course, only affected the female-shaped polygons. Number 10, Stellar Blade on PC. Easily the most exciting imminent release for me, as Stellar Blade on PC
it's coming
will,
on PC,
bring
June.
mods. I was eager enough to make a video previously outlining who I believe should be modded first into the game. But, you know, I'll just quickly kind of summarize.
Yeah, Stellar Blade, I know that it has
here.
some like Nier Automata. Oh my god.
Helps. Shift Up's attention to detail and ability to bring confident, graceful, and beautiful women to life made them a huge target for the alphabet cult, so triggered by biological women that even polygons in video games crossed a line.
No one hates beautiful women more than ugly women. And no one runs these places more than ugly women. That's why. No one hates beautiful women. Well, women in general. No one hates women more than other women. Beautiful women are just a more visible target. And, you know, there's one thing to keep in mind. There are some people so hideously, disgustingly, grotesquely ugly that the only beauty that they have is physical.
Glorified ruler holders taking time out of their busy skirt-wearing schedule to talk about how and problematic the female character design was, and if that wasn't enough, even striped shirt, baguette,
I lived with one for a while.
Editor-in-chiefs needed to cry
I married one for a while.
Video game women is harming real women. Despite the cult's tears, Shift Up CEO is now a billionaire thanks to Nikke Goddess of Victory and Stellar Blade, which will launch with a collaboration on PC on June 11th.
Hell yeah.
Number 9,
June 11th, okay.
Silver Palace.
We just watched the trailer for this one,
what you need to see to understand why the upcoming game Silver Palace has people talking. Like the previous entry on this list, it effortlessly flexes its refusal to court DEI design, opting instead to appeal and immerse people in a Victorian escape.
Selling to your target demographic and selling them what they want. How could that possibly how could that possibly work, right?
Whether flying through Tokyo drifting on your horse or riding the rails, the title and its unapologetically sexy waifus aim to kick the competition in the teeth, at least at a glance. In the same way ugly Western games are so repulsive that they can be summed up with the phrase, look at it. Silver Palace appeals so hard that the same phrase can be applied in describing why it has people's attention. Number 8, Vindictus Defying Fate. Gaming's renaissance would not be possible without Chad developers like those comprising Vindictus Defying Fate's team. What they've brought to life is nothing short of enchanting, and in motion, the poetry of their animations help gameplay and combat mesmerize. I keep myself nice and unpopular so that when certain things track, it's irrefutable how effective they are at grabbing attention. And after suffering dozens of death threats for showing just how much this beauty
if you're sending death threats to a game developer because he made a virtual woman that is pretty and sexy, you need a psychiatrist, you need therapy, you need God, you need a priest, you need an exorcism. And you need a father figure in your fucking life. Jesus Christ, dude. Don't send death threats to people.
contrasts westernized, forced, politically correct, ugly surgery scarred androgyny. It's pretty clear to me that this game is changing our industry by simply existing. Thank you, Vindictus, for genuinely defying fate and altering the course of gaming for the better.
Good for you.
Less Concord design, more of this. Number 7.
Yeah.
Tides of Annihilation.
We saw the trailer
There's
for this.
a great many
looks really cool.
Souls-likes coming down the pipes, following in the footsteps of the few remaining greats in the industry. But the hack and slash appeal is the jelly to the beautiful woman peanut butter for asswipes like me. With titans, dragons, kick-ass armor,
it did look really cool.
Wardrobe changes to keep our waifu stunning while she's stunting on these
like
confused monsters whose pronouns we will tolerantly be select.
I don't know anyone like that. Like, I can't even guess what makes people like that. There are a few things that make people like that. I'm going to go back a little bit to hear what he was saying. There are a few things that make somebody as miserable as someone who needs to send us death, who feels the need to send a death threat online. Number 1, lack of love. If you're not loved by, especially your parents, yeah, that's going to fuck you up. Number 2, loneliness. A lot of people...
damage.
Yes, emotional damage, 100%. A lot of people are scarred for being isolated. And a lot of people fall into this cycle of isolation, that they isolate themselves so they become incapable of socializing. And when they try to socialize, it doesn't work and it results in them isolating. And when they isolate, they become even less capable. And it just becomes this vicious cycle. It's really difficult to get out of. And the problem is that a lot of people, especially if you're somebody with who lacks love, especially as a child. If you were not loved as a child by either of your parents or either of your parents, that's going to be a big problem. And as I've said before, a lot of the times the problem isn't as much the person, but the person's parents. And if your parents don't love you, well, misery loves company. And there are some people and there are a lot of people that focus on the wrong things in life. And you will focus on what you give value to, kind of thing. And these people can tend to hyperfixate. And one of the downsides of the, let's call it woke ideology right now, is that it's a very pervasive ideology. It corrupts very easily, and it's incredibly toxic. So if you buy into the ideology full on, it's going to fill you with an amount of hate that the KKK would be fucking jealous of. Like, we're talking some of the most toxic, hateful people in this world are ideologues like this. And when you encounter somebody like that who is so ideologically possessed, any sight of something, and it's not exclusive to the woke, we've seen this with all sorts of cults all throughout history, to the point that if you see something that goes outside of your ideology that you disagree with, you become violent. You have the potential of becoming violent, extremely aggressive, and one of the problems with that is that you don't place the right value on human life. And if that happens, then yeah, what's a death threat? They're not in your club. They're not in your ideology. What's a death threat? Huh? And that's more or less how this goes. And there are a billion other factors that probably can factor in that will go through this. But yes, unironically, this kind of thing comes from a lack of love. And I'm not talking about the toxic positivity of love. I'm talking about being nurtured as a child. Let's continue.
Monsters whose pronouns we will tolerantly be selecting for them. This joins my collection of unapologetically charming games that need only play as well as they look.
That's a good term.
To secure an audience and a future.
Yep.
Games in the last decade of gender politics poison have lacked the charisma and sickness that made them what boys might want to hang up as a poster on their goddamn wall. You know, the kind of thing that gets remembered as opposed to shut down in less than 2 weeks. But if games like Tides of Annihilation play their cards right, they could be, no pun intended, giants. No.
These games only need to do what they advertise. They don't need to excel at anything else. All of the other games had to pull out so much more. These games only need to do what they advertised. He's 100% correct there. Insane.
Number 6. Crimson Desert. Of all the games on this list, I've done the worst job containing my excitement for this one. Initially, I was excited for Doke V. That floored me, looking ripped right from my inner child's imagination, and what I hoped Pokemon might look like by now. But Pearl Abyss, the developers behind Black Desert Online,
oh my god, I
an
was about to ask
gorgeous and show-stopping RPG that
Crimson
can
Desert
be summed up
oh my
again
god, if it's
with
a
the
sequel.
phrase, look at it. In a past video, I reiterated that if many of these games simply look the way they're shown, with the weight of the combat, the scale of this world, the
if they play
in
the same way that they look,
and the attention to detail, down to animations on horseback, dragon riding, and even picking up a damn bounty off a freaking board, this shit right here scratches an itch that gamers didn't know they had, and more importantly, didn't think developers remembered how to reach for. If Pearl Abyss sticks this landing, they're at the top of my list of developers to watch. Yes, above From Software, MiHoYo, Rockstar, whatever you want to say. If I may be blunt, Halo died in my lifetime. Call of Duty died in my lifetime. Mortal Kombat, the reason for the ESRB rating system, why Mature exists, died in my lifetime. And I just like
that's a good observation.
People served. And no, not the burnt food that agendas and woke Western games have weighed down, anchored, and buried what used to be escapes into fantastic fantasy, fun, fulfilling worlds where the only limit was imagination. Activists are too busy injecting vitiligo, non-binary, wheelchair entities, and humanizing orcs and demons for political lectures to allow audiences the one thing they deserve with something they paid for, fun. But
and you don't forget, a lot of activists take the phrase "don't judge a book by its cover" way too far. A lot of people take the concept of judgment the wrong way, I would say. Passing on judgment, making a complete judgment based on the cover alone is a bad idea. You should probably judge a book in the terms of knowing what it is and what to expect from the cover. That's kind of the point of the fucking cover. It's the craftsman's job. And a lot of these types, on top of being this cultish woke thing, they also have this incessant need of being hyper-intellectual. So they're going to want to subvert your expectations with everything. They're going to want everything to be this weird, postmodern, hyper-intellectual thing. And it's one thing to be intellectual, to be educated, and to do things in the academic way. You know my thoughts on. I've made my thoughts on academic music very, very, very clear. But there is something that's taking it too far. And being an intellectual alone. You like your books? How you like your men? How do you like them? Tell me. Thick or thrick. There you go. I see that you got a little excited typing that. So, you have these people that place value entirely on intellectualism. So there you go. I'm always excited. There you go when phrasing. And they then want you to explore the innards of everything, and not everything is what it seems. Sometimes things should just be what they seem. Sometimes things can be that simple. Not everything needs a 70,000 word essay on why it is what it is. Sometimes things can just be what they are. And that is one of the concepts that academics and intellectuals don't want to grasp, because that is something being simple is equated with something being dumb or stupid or not smart enough. And that's a grave mistake a lot of these people make. Sometimes simple things are the best things for a reason. So perception is in fact reality. Perception is reality. Yeah. So if it quakes, looks like a dog, walks like a dog, could probably a dog. Yep. Sounds like shit, has blonde hair, and loves like reading it's an oboe player. What? Why are oboe players? No. My experience has been the clarinet players, but let's keep it at that. My point being, some people place way too much value on being an intellectual and give their value as a person being an intellectual. So every overplayer I've ever met has been that. I know like 3, and 2 of them are not. So yeah.
Maybe in the next Insomniac Spider-Man game, we can play not only as one Spider-Man's girlfriend, but another Spider-Man's girlfriend, and maybe even a Spider-Man's boyfriend, because everybody needs to be gay, and they're going to rewrite a language for Latinx. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want. That's what you want, right? You're gay, right? That's what they think about. You're gay.
So if you're not familiar with this clip, I'm not apologizing for pausing. This is El Rubius. He's a Spanish streamer, as in he's from Spain, and he was streaming Spider-Man 2. And there's one thing about woke language, the gendered language, the gender-neutral language. It doesn't work that well in Spanish. And he was playing it in Spanish, and the woke language started playing. Like, he was just starting. He just went into the settings and turned off voice in general, because it is unbearable. The woke Spanish is worse than woke English. It's horrible. It's horrible. And look at his face. This is the face of someone who doesn't want to deal with your bullshit. I'm trying to have fun and play a game. Why the fuck are you doing this to me? They hate it and it's hilarious, yes. So, he looks like Pedro QC. This is El Rubius. He's the largest. I mean, he looks like that right now because he's using blonde hair. He dyes his hair all the time. But he's the largest Spanish streamer as far as I know.
Hey, right?
XQC Latinx, there
right?
you go.
What is a video game trope that you want to get rid of?
Heterosexuality. More diversity would be great, but also I just want to see men kissing more.
More diversity. What do you mean by more diversity? Because I can guarantee you the most diverse panel of HR of a diversity office is all straight white women. Liberal white women. The most diverse country in the world that you will be able to name me is an African nation where everybody is black. Your terms are bullshit. Your terms are double-faced. You are a double-faced fucking... Dunkel. Look what we have here. Yeah, no. And when you say diversity, you don't mean diversity. You want your ideological definition of diversity. So, it won't sell though. Yeah,
PC
thank
Gamer
God
famously slandered Black Myth Wukong for not being diverse enough. I reiterate, the bar is so low that you could step over it. And I'm not sure that Pearl Abyss is even half aware of the fire that they've kindled in people when they show this Crimson Desert-ish to people.
Let's see. You know what I want in my games is, generally speaking, society-accepting person, hot males, hot women, violence, some romance, and it to be a game. I want the game to be a game. Yeah, I want it to be a game first. Everything else can come after. Story can come after. If you want to make it a really good story, make it a really good game about a story. That's cool. Make it about the craft. The purpose of the craft is the craft that you're making. The songs I've made. I've written music. I'm still writing music. I'm writing music for the sake of the music. I'm not trying to give you a moral message. I'm not trying to give you a social message. I'm not trying to give you anything other than what I consider to be good music. That's what I'm doing. I'm not trying, because I have my ideas, I have my principles, I have my convictions, and if I wanted, I could do it, but it doesn't serve the music. It's not what my music wants. And I serve my music so that it can serve itself. That's what I do. The craft that I do for the craft, for the purposes of the craft, not for an ideology. And this is something these people cannot comprehend, or won't. And we can do without the romance. Yeah, it can absolutely happen. You don't need a lot of these things. You can leave a lot of these things out. Just do what the craft demands of you. And you will see. Let's continue.
Prey. Games like
Crimson I want to start
Desert and their passionate and creative teams are free to nail down what I believe will change gaming. There are quite a few boss showcases already available on YouTube, the types of things that lazy developers these days would never show because that they don't have that much game on offer, even though they worked on the game for a decade. But this one has a lot to show, and I'll be watching it all like a hawk as we prepare for what's coming next. Number 5. Chrono Odyssey. a game that admittedly fell off our radar, as a great many things are shown to us and then never mentioned again for years.
Is this
But
related to
one
Chrono
of the
Trigger?
things that stood out in a big, delightful, and welcome way was the sex appeal in Chrono Odyssey, which whispers,
Nice.
following an investor call, that there may be a beta coming soon.
Ooh.
It's easy to be skeptical
Since the character
observing
does
what
hot, am I
appears to
hot?
be
Nope.
some of the most
There you
Unreal
go.
Engine gameplay to ever Unreal Engine, but the beta will provide answers
Maybe I'm not hot
to
as
quench
bitch.
curiosity and
There
the
you go.
appetite that was wet
You're
with
not in the minority, though.
years-old trailers. If any of you would like to join me in that beta, go to Chrono Odyssey's Steam page and request access, and hopefully we can all get in and play together.
I would love to join,
types
but
are
I'm not gonna
always
give myself the time.
tripping over their ambitions, and we'll be able to see together whether or not this can find its stride. Number
It
4,
looks cool.
Azure Promelia. By the developers of Azure Lane, this jiggly waifu entry will include pocket-sized monsters to capture, train, and fight. Naturally
Oh no, no, no. Somebody hide Nintendo. Somebody hide Nintendo. The patent trolls are gonna get all over this. Oh my god, no.
drawing comparisons to a little-known property owned
Zeal's
by
a good
some
boy.
people
I like
who aren't
this. It's
exactly
good. It's a
frightened
really
to
good
sue the
video,
crap
yeah.
out of you if anything gets too popular within its genre.
I like it. I subscribed
Here's
to him, yeah.
hoping that
He
there's
gave
no
this video a like.
hidden patents that Azure Promelia infuriates Nintendo ninjas into enforcing, you know what I'm saying? It's been too long without an update on this one, so I'm eager to see what they have to show by the end of the year, especially now with GTA 6's delay having cleared the runway. Number
Right.
3,
GTA got
Phantom
delayed.
Blade Zero. This one holds a special place on this list as far as I'm concerned, because the other games all seem
3
to
is a special
lead
number,
with
yeah.
their big titty waifus, and what a selling point indeed. You know what I mean? You want to talk about making some damn money.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was so impressive and uncompromising in its style, kind of flair,
Oh, that looks cool, yeah.
polished animations, and impressive choreography.
That looks really cool.
Not including it would seem criminal. How it plays may be a different story, but as I said before, this, among the other games on this list, need only play the way that it looks, and we will be satisfied. Please meet.
I'm gonna read this out loud because JP makes a point here. There's also an aspect that having only hot characters in video games can warp the perception of young people of what people are supposed to look like, neither ugly nor perfect. Fuck. Characters are good. Flaws looked often in looks often give the look a character. Yes. 100% flaws are important. That's usually part of the story. Like, usually a good story will include a character overcoming flaws, and having physical flaws can be a good thing. There is a good balance to be had there. The problem is we've had the end here of this pendulum that has been pushed so far to this end for the past 10 years that right now we're just going to see the pendulum swing the other way. There doesn't even have to be a push for this. This is just going to be the natural reaction to a bunch of this. There's going to be a lot of overcorrection. And I agree with your point. Like, a lot of people are going to get a warped perception, just like these games warped the perception of people as well. We can't win. We can't win on that front. But in that case, if you're worried about impressionable young minds, that is the parents' job to deal with. It's the parents' job to make sure that, a kid understands what people are and aren't like. So that's not a responsibility of the developers. That is not the responsibility of a game developer. That's the responsibility of a parent to help the child understand what a person is and isn't, what is and isn't fiction. That is not the responsibility of the developers. Is it nice when developers do it? Yes, but it's not their responsibility. The characters stand out by making them beautiful. Oversaturation defeats the method. Yeah. There's always such a thing as too much. Yeah. In all ends. So
60 FPS. Oh, please put the FPS in my way.
Counterpoint. Do all children have
Mecha Break.
Do all children have good parents or even decent parents? No. And that's not the responsibility of the game developers. That does not give it gives a moral obligation for those around the children, absolutely. It's the parents' obligation. But that does not displace the accountability onto a game developer. It just means the parents fail. And that's not the fault of a game developer company at the other side of the world to cater or to adjust their product to accommodate for the failure of some random parents. especially because a lot of these games are supposed to be 13 and up, 16 and up, 15 and up, 18 and up. It's not the responsibility of a developer. There are kids who have no parents. Those are kids we should look after as a society, in my honest opinion. Yes, and that's not the job of a game developer. That's the job of a social service. Yeah, I agree with you. As a society, we do need to look after the orphan kids, and everything like that, and the parentless kids, and the fatherless and the motherless children. That is not a responsibility of a game developer in Singapore to take care of the children in Poland or Hungary or the United States or across the globe. The priority, the level of priority a game developer has on the visuals of their game related to the necessities of a child without parents is, it's a very big fucking separation there, because the child needs to be taken care of by his local community. That does not, unless the child is somehow directly related to the studio. I don't think that's the studio's obligation. Lucifer, welcome to today. How you doing? Wasn't allowed to play GTA as a kid. I think 100% the correct decision. Wasn't mature. My parents allowed me to play more mature games with supervision than without teaching me. That's what my parents did as well. That's why my mom did. She would make sure that everything I had was age appropriate. She had a really difficult time, but she managed to make everything age appropriate. She did her parenting. Game devs should focus on making good games, and whatever goes into that, whether little Timmy has parents or not, is not a concern. I also don't really like the perfectly looking character personally. They look plastic. It's uncanny. A perfect character looks uncanny. 100% agreed. So yeah, again, I'm not disagreeing with you on that point. There is a balance to be had. There are some flaws. You know how a perfectly symmetrical face is unnatural? Because we're not supposed to have symmetrical faces. That's a human thing. And a lot of the characters, part of the uncanny valley is that they have perfectly symmetrical faces. Something that Mark Zuckerberg has. What are we doing? We're watching this video on unapologetically sexy games. We're just discussing things. And then we're going to start Clear Obscure Expedition 33. I wasn't allowed to play games with guns until high school. Same. So it's one of those things that it's your parents' obligation, and you as a kid, you don't know any better. So it's your parents' job. And if your parents fail, then yes, it's the society's job to make up for what they failed to do. It's not a game developer's obligation in the strictest sense. They do have a moral obligation to take that into account. That much I can agree with. They don't have any other obligation to act on it. So, especially if you're going to make, let's say, I am not going to let my kids anywhere near a game like Visage. A horror game where the opening sequence is you killing your wife, children, and yourself in a basement. Do those game developers have an obligation to make sure that the game caters to a child's idea of what a person should or shouldn't be? No, it's a game that deals with the most fucked up aspects of humanity. Of course they don't have anywhere near an obligation to cater to a child. That's for adults. And if a child comes across this game, it's going to get traumatized. And that's not the fault of the developers. That's the fault of the parents, or whoever's in charge of, or the parent, or the guardians of the child. So Blizzard games should be animated movie series. Oh, right. Oh, you were talking about Blizzard. Okay. You were talking about yourselves. Okay, let's continue watching this. I want to start Clear Obscure. 3 more minutes.
I've played 2 betas for this game at this point, and I've been pleasantly surprised and appreciative that the attention to detail going into not only the mechs, but the jiggly waifus that you're getting to walk around as are just something that were priority.
So crass about it.
Easily the mech fighter game I've always wanted and felt should exist for assholes like me to just jump in and play whenever
I don't like the
we
walk-in
want
animation
to.
as
But
much. But
somehow it's not out yet.
The jiggles
and the
are
only
nice.
worry for me is going to come at
not everything is about me. Well, it should be, damn it.
See whether or not those microtransactions take a weird pay to win or kind of pay to skip route. We don't want that. Cosmetic.
Okay, yeah, the idea, sorry, I am not apologizing for pausing. The idea of pay to skip is such a, to me, that's one of the wildest concepts out there. You're a developer and you have so little faith, or you understand that your game is so bad that you're charging people extra so that they don't have to play it. Yeah, no. No.
Only microtransactions, you son of a bitch. Honorary mention on this list goes to Gears of War, Halo Master Chief Collection, and Metal Gear Solid, which of course are old games.
Metal Gear
remastered, but because of that,
Delta.
just like Bethesda, I have to wonder: are you hiring nerds that are covering up statues of females because they're so problematic?
Wow.
Are you gonna tone down Cortana or make all the women just ugly or something? We can't even know. Call that there may be a beta coming. Nerds that are covering up statues of females.
I was trying to move stuff in my desk.
Problematic. Are you gonna tone down Cortana or make all the women
body
just
type 1 and
ugly?
2. Okay, one quick point. I booted up Star Citizen the other day. You know how they dealt with the body type 1 and 2 or male or female? They just didn't put it. In the character creation, you just get the body of a dude and the body of a girl and you just pick between the two. They didn't even put the text. That's right. The best way to play this game is by not playing it. Fuck you all. We're not gonna make a statement. We're just making a game here. Star Citizen is its own issue.
Or something. We can't even know with you people. So you're not a real entry on the list. What is an honorary? You're not even here, bro. You're not even here. Number 1 goes to Ananta, previously Project Mugen.
Ananta.
It had me.
We've watched the trailer for this. Yeah,
giantess waifu and Spider-Man swinging, but. Its second trailer taking heavy inspiration from GTA and leaning into the driving and kind of the random fun you can have in the city here. I've heard all kinds of AI going into playing pranks on random NPCs and taking their phones and seeing what they get up to. It's pretty crazy. It'll be exciting to see what developer Naked Rain has to offer. One can only hope that the developer
all these games look fun
for what they plan to make available to the player base. You know what I mean? Let those naked waifus just rain down upon us, man. You'd fit right in.
God damn it.
Big D and big titty beta testers around here just sharpening their blades, waiting for some action. It's easy to outperform developers so triggered by biological women that they change clothing in a 20-year-old game. You're not special, you're not interesting, you're not creative, you are here to remaster something, but you think you need to put your stain on some shit. Fuck these modern audience developers, man. They would not be significant if not attached to a project by heterosexual men. They're betters. Greater men than they, them could ever hope to be. But I digress. Did I include every anticipated game you might have considered base enough to allow women to be attractive? If not, then comment it below. Dude. Maybe if these get enough traction or enough likes, I will see about making a part 2 of this. A special thanks to all the patrons and sponsors.
Nice.
I thank you. Without you, this wouldn't be able to happen. Join the Discord, like the videos, follow on Twitter, and keep me informed of where the curvy girls are manifesting. And I'll catch you in the next one.
There you go. That was 10 unapologetically sexy games for a post-woke era. What a good video. I had a lot of fun. This guy just said it. Cyael, you just said it. Very nice. Or how do you pronounce it? Cyael. Okay, Cyael. There you go. There you go. Very, very good stuff. Let me see. I do have a counterpoint as to why they address characters differently, and it's not because of woke. It's because the U.S. conservative stance on their age rating agency. Probably. I still don't like it. So, let me see. There are games like Final Fantasy VII where mods are made to skip longer sections, like the calm flashback, because your 20th playthrough doesn't need that 20-minute sequence. A fresh game should be taking notes from their elders. Yeah, I mean there are scenarios in which this absolutely applies, but yeah. He also has women body sizes. Okay, I'm done. There you go. Is it literally opposite of woke? It's the conservatives. It's ideology. It's the ideological drive. Because before the woke, we had the conservative Christians who were just as annoying, just as moralizing, and guess what? Just as against beautiful women in sexy clothing. There's a lot of overlap here. There's a lot of overlap. It's, a lot of the times, like a lot of people think it's just this particular ideology. And the problem is that they forget that a lot of the problem is it's ideologues. The problem is ideologues. Right now, the current manifestation of this is the woke. The previous manifestation we had was the hyper-Christian conservatives. Then we have the previous manifestation. We're going to have another manifestation. It's just what happens. We are going to have the moral tyrants that are just going to continue doing and doing and doing. I gotta like, you look like Jesus. That's way too high a compliment. I appreciate it. My hair is way too black. I'm way too Latino for that. So maybe like a Jesus. But yeah, really good video. I am looking forward to pretty much all the games here. I'm looking forward to playing them mainly probably in a few years when we catch up with the list, because that's right, we have a list of games that I need to catch up on so long. We have like 80 franchises, 80, 90 franchises of like must-play games that I still need to catch up on. So, it doesn't look Middle Eastern enough? Yeah, I know. I mean, I do have a fairly large nose. It's not big, but you know, there's also that. Anyway, good video, good stuff. It is so nice to see that we are finally out of the last 10 years of slop. I can only hope that the AAA companies start catching up. Oh, we're gonna start seeing, you know how IBM used to be the greatest, the biggest computer company in the world, and now it's Intel and Nvidia, and you know, we're going to see the next generation, and we are seeing the generational transition right now in video games, and I am very happy to see that it's going in a good stuff. Content for days, absolutely.